It's been a year for me of the spirit moving, the spirit blowing us into Windsor, and landing in community has been such a wonderful ride.
It was through the course, I think it was Al Roxburgh, where he introduced the idea of the disruptive work of the Spirit in Acts 16. And the Holy Spirit always is disrupting the way we do things and structure things, because the Spirit's up to doing new things. And thinking of COVID instead of in a negative way is realizing, the Holy Spirit has not stopped working in our neighborhood. And it's up to us to figure out how he's calling us in and disrupting our lives. And so seeing disruption is, in a sense, a positive thing. It's a thing of life and energy. And you were thinking of disruption.
Yeah, COVID disrupted everyone's lives. And personally, the Spirit disrupted us in a way that found me in a place where we completely moved to Windsor. We packed up everything, we left our jobs, we left our community, and we landed downtown Windsor to a wonderful reception of the loving community of the DWCC and the launch of React.
I can certainly relate to the disruption, and our family too had moved unexpectedly from Alberta, and it wasn't on my radar shortly before COVID hit, and ultimately that disruption and what kind of seemed to project what was going to be, isolation with COVID ended up for myself and for my family an opportunity of connection.
The first part of COVID was kind of the ministries and activity all kind of went to seed, and things kind of went underground and dormant, and then this last year has been those seeds now popping up in new places, and the Spirit kind of blew them, spread them around, called new people to join the DWCC and React, and definitely we've seen that disruption now with new life and new energy. You've probably heard lots about Taco Tuesday and this reunion Tuesday thing we did, and how it's blossomed into something new. But another kind of element to that would be the new life and development of our relationship with Dual Public School. And so, Alex, you're now on the PTA, and what are you, the chair?
Yeah, I'm the chair of the parent council. Kristen is joining as a member. It seems like just like you said, the relationship is taking a new direction. We saw such great participation and interest from the school coming out to our community events for the kids, and it had naturally led me into the school as my children are there, and a new relationship with the principal and the staff and administration is starting to blossom.
Very affirming has been their expression of appreciation for DWCC's role in the life, not only at the school, but in the community of the kids that they love. We both love together the 300 kids at the school that are in our neighborhood. Another component of life pre and post COVID with ministry in DWCC has been our engagement in Glengarry, and the 6+7 years of Huey's involvement and that coming to a close. And grateful for the groundwork he did and the relationships built in there, and then seeing that dormant in a sense die, and now the seed's starting to come back. And even the conversations just recently about folks moving into the neighborhood, re-engagement, and hearing from the staff of just their kind of the anticipation of how we can be involved again in a more tangible way. Seeing the pantry still thriving, and the leadership still strong in there, and then the opportunities, the creative opportunities we have for re-engaging in the Glengarry community
And so that invites us, we have a kind of a posture of prayer as we wait and anticipate, because we know that even as we use the language of fallowness, of this sort of year of pause, it's always with an anticipation of letting the land rest for the next generative season. And so we've been, wondering who is coming into this community, who's going to move in, who are the next leaders and resident leaders in the neighborhood. They're going to come alongside the current folks, and there'll be something beautiful that comes in this next sort of decade in Glengarry.
Yeah. Another thing that's morphed, or a seed has, since I guess you're talking about dying and then life coming out of it, has been the immersion house. The home we've used in the past for the Women's Community House, and then just listening to the Spirit on what it looks like in the future as immersion, an opportunity for folks to do life together, explore spiritually formative practices, while also balancing that or accompanying it with community engagement, advocacy, loving our neighbors in very practical, tangible ways.
So, Kristen, you had the opportunity to relocate from another part of the city into the downtown. Certainly some apprehensions to moving into the downtown, and now you've been living there for 3-4 months.
Yes.
What's that been like, moving into the immersion house?
You're right. It was very scary initially. It was a different part of the city I wasn't familiar with. And it has exceeded, I think, even what I could imagine as far as hopes. And I think a lot of that has to do with how intentional DWCC is in making those connections in the community. And even to hear 3 or 4 months, it feels like a really short time for the amount of connection and the opportunities that I've had to get to know neighbors through whether it's Taco Tuesdays or even through involvement with the school. It feels like a longer time period in a good way that I've had the opportunity to be there. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the future and the shape of the immersion house.
And the proximity that the immersion house has to the park means that you guys get to lead with such gifts of hospitality. So this past, it doesn't look like it now, but a few days ago we had snow and it was cold, and we did this Christmas dinner for the neighborhood, and that was driven by you. You said, "What if we did a Christmas dinner as our final Taco Tuesday?" What was that all about? What was driving that?
I think it's something that we've all enjoyed, and it grew beyond maybe what we had foreseen in the beginning. And every Tuesday we leave with such joy, right? It was just excitement and joy and gratitude to be part of something that was so beautiful, and to see so many kids coming out and families coming out and words spreading, and seeing the joy that it brought to all the other people in the community. And it is something special and rare and something people long for, and there isn't a lot of that. So I guess when it was coming to an end, just as far as how practical it was with the seasons, I think we all felt a little sadness with that. So just wanting that last one to make it something a little extra special and memorable, kind of honor of the season, and a good final hurrah before we get to restart in spring.
When we started out in 2010, Windsor had just hit the trough. 2008, the whole economic tumult across the nation, and Windsor taking a real beating, and establishing or launching DWCC to move into the abandoned places in a sense of across the country, and working at renewal of the city through neighborhood community, and things have changed over the 10 years. So housing, the pricing, the movement of people in, movement of international students in a significant manner into our downtown core has shifted and changed what our neighborhoods look like. And so we can't keep pushing or fighting for the model we set up 10 years ago. It might not necessarily be the model that works for the coming years. And so, again, back to that concept of listening where the Spirit is disrupting and where the Spirit blows and moves, and us moving with the Spirit. And really, it's been youth. It's been children that just keep jumping to the core, or jumping to the front.
Yeah. I think of like when we moved here in 2017, and we would bring our kids to Bruce Park, and we'd have to give a kind of an initial scan for needles and how even that the neighborhood has become a better place. It's become a good place. There's been an upswing. There's been hope, and then the redevelopment of Bruce Park is almost emblematic of that change.
And I think of the work of the Spirit and how it was disruptive, and I think of the DWCC community and how we were starting to worship in the park and have our services in the park, and the Spirit disrupted us with community. The children overran us, and we had to go with the Spirit.
Yeah.
And what the Spirit did was wonderful.
Yeah.
It just let the floodgates of the children of the community come into the park, and to think that this was all happening in COVID, and the relationships and the smiles and the food and the drinks that we shared in that park and got to know the children really fills me with excitement for what the Spirit is going to do in this next season of 2022.
And then when the first few meals happened where the kids started showing up, it was just the kids. And then over this last month, we've now begun to see parents who are sort of on the edges and curious. And, my kid's been talking about this. And so, that heart for families is showing up as well.
So the concept of youth leadership development, and not youth around just fun and games or about me, but really encouraging our children, our youth, to have an eye out for their neighbors, how to love their neighbors and participate in advocacy and activism. And youth leadership development, making their neighborhoods a good place to grow up, a good place to grow old, an inclusive, welcoming space for all children to feel they've got a place to belong and are valued, which is, there are two components of being a loving community. And then ultimately just walking with kids through their exploration of God's role in their life, their role in God's life, and being a welcoming community for them to participate in that.
At the root of that is discipleship and modeling what it looks like to be incarnational in the neighborhood that we live in. So really excited about being intentional and strategic about how we can move with the Spirit and how it's leading us.
Just want to give a big thanks to our Covenant community for all they've brought in spirit, in food, in support, and making our Taco Tuesdays possible and bringing so much joy to our community members. So thank you.
Thank you to the community in downtown Windsor, particularly the Dougal Public School. Thank you for the principal unit, staff and administration who have been so supportive of our efforts in the community and recognizing us. Thank you to the parents and children of the school for coming out to our events and continuing to be such a source of joy for all of us in the community.
Thank you to our supporter in the Karis Family Foundation for supporting the Immersion House and the wild dream that is. For the City of Windsor for partnering with us to make the park a great place and being supportive of our efforts of hospitality in the midst of COVID.
But also thank you to folks who don't live downtown, but really across the country have been supporting DWCC and the seed planting, like creative ideas, experiments, explorations, and it would not be possible without you providing the financial resources, the prayer and the encouragement, the listening ears, the words of gratitude for what is going on in downtown Windsor, often not understanding fully because it's conceptual in many ways and it's hard to articulate at times what the Spirit's up to or what we're trying to do. And you've believed in us and trusted us, and we are incredibly grateful, not only for us, but we're expressing that gratitude for our neighbors who don't even understand at times what is going on behind the scenes. So thank you very much. As you consider your participation financially as the end of the year comes up. Don't forget us. Remember what's happening. Ask questions of us, and we appreciate again your financial support and caring for us. Thank you.
Thanks.